What is up, the Lions fans? It's your boy Motor City Don P. We are back once again. And whenever you see me on the TV on Monday, it's for LNU, right? So shout out LNU, shout out everybody in the LNU fam, and shout out all the people in the chat that are going to be here. There was a problem going live on X. Let's see if it goes there. Anyway, so we're live on YouTube. That's all that really matters. Okay, now we're live on X. There we go. All right, so shout out everybody in the LNU fam. Shout out everybody. Shout out Chicken Nugget King. I see you in the chat. But again, when you see me on your TV, you know that it means one thing is for certain and three things are for sure. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats and not none of that static. And number three, we want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And you may ask, how, Don? Monsieur Dumpy, how do we keep our Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's very simple because we've made it that way. All you got to do is smash that like button. All you got to do is subscribe. All you got to do is share. Let everybody know what's going on around here in this illustrious stream, in this illustrious Lions Lounge fan cave that I got going on behind me here. And that's it. That's it. Then you've kept your Lions news pragmatic. It's the real deal. It's not the clickbait. It's not nobody out here telling you that they're Lions whisperers and that someone changed the way they do press conferences because of you. No one is giving you that kind of drivel. Not around here. Not around the Motor City Cats for sure. As I said, anybody, Justin Spiro, holla at me. I'm ready. You know, if you want the expose, I got it for you. I got all the receipts. I got all the emails. I got all of the text conversations. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all don't, but in due time, you get me in front of a microphone with a reporter asking me questions and it'll all come out. Full expose. I ain't holding nothing back. All right. So let's see what we got here. So we're talking about this defense. That's what we got to talk about today. One, Brian Branch has said that the Detroit Lions defense feels invincible. Now, if y'all don't know the guy in the thumbnail, his name is Invincible. Have you been living under a rock? Maybe you just don't have Amazon Prime. I don't know. But his name is Invincible. He's a superhero. You get it. Just go watch the show. No, don't go watch it now. Stay here. What up, though, King? Press. Let me see what she has to say. Okay. All right, well, Brian Branch did a thing, and we have to talk about it. Brian Branch is not usually very talkative. He's very mild-mannered, except when he's on the field, flipping the bird to Packers fans. He's very soft-spoken. He walks softly and carries a big stick. Just ask Bijan Robinson. Pause. He decapitated him in the open field. It was someone else he laid the boom upon. I think the most impressive hit last season was David Montgomery taking the soul out of Devon Witherspoon. That man bounced on the ground. But anyway, Brian Branch has said that. So we're going to get to what Brian Branch said. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it. There were some other happenings around the Lions sphere yesterday and over the weekend. Apparently, Eric Ebron was in town for some reason. Yeah, okay. I didn't really tap into that article. I just saw the headline and I was like, really? Really, Eric Ebron? We do have a major trade that went down in the early morning hours. Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith have been sent to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that does affect us, because we will have to see Jalen Ramsey this season, whereas we would not have had to see him had he stayed in Miami. But Minkah Fitzpatrick is someone we will not have to see, and I'm pretty sure we're probably more glad about that. But He has gone back to Miami. If you know this, he was originally drafted by the Miami Dolphins. Now he is back there. It is a reunion of sorts. And Jalen Ramsey and tight end Jonnu Smith are now going to be in Pittsburgh playing for Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. So that should be interesting. They're making an effort. Minka Fitzpatrick was one of the pieces that they could have done something with. They don't really have a whole lot of pieces that you can get a whole lot of capital for, which brings us back to who. TJ Watt apparently is back on the table, so we can talk about that. We can get into that. I know some people would not like me to talk about it because they're like, "Oh, you talk about the pass rush too much. You always talk about the pass rush. Why you ain't got nothing else to talk about but the pass rush?" Really, we don't. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I ain't gonna hold you. We don't have too much more to talk about but the pass rush. So before I get into all these things that we can talk about and that we will talk about today, I want to address a commenter. I don't remember this guy's name. Okay. He left a comment on one of my videos. I think it was my last show on Friday. And, we were talking about the Browns releasing Agbo. Was it Okoronkwo? I don't have his name in front of me. I'm good at pronouncing these names. Okay. Like Jeffrey Namumbo. Okay. If you know, use that hashtag. So anyway, in this episode, if you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't see it, I went on this long spiel about the decision making that you have to have in order to decide to make the decision, the conscious decision to live in Cleveland. And this guy comes in and he watched the show and he was like, "I tried to give you a chance, but your Cleveland hate is unhinged. Good luck with your local fans because you're never going to go." He said, "You're never going to go national with this tribalism." I guess he don't understand that it's Detroit versus everybody. And if you are an outside fan and if you want to be a subscriber of mine, I thank you. If you don't want to be a subscriber of mine, I will not beg you. I will not plead with you. If you are from Chicago and you are a Bears fan and you want to be a subscriber and then you want to come in my chat and you want to talk all types of nonsense and then get ignored and then unsubscribe, good riddance to bad rubbish. I'm not worried about it. I'm not crying over you. Okay, so it's Detroit versus everybody. For anybody that's watching this on replay who is not from Detroit, who is not about Detroit, who has issues with Detroit, who has problems with Detroit, it's Detroit versus everybody. We don't need you, right? Because getting love from Detroit is all I really care about. I don't care about you in Cleveland. I don't care about you in Philly. I don't care about you in other places because I am from Detroit and I am a Detroit sports fan. And I talk about Detroit sports, namely the Detroit Lions, but I don't talk about your team. I talk about your team in conjunction with what it has to do with the Detroit Lions. Only reason I was talking about Cleveland is because the Browns did a thing. They released somebody that could benefit the Detroit Lions. Only reason I'm talking about Cleveland is because we got to play Cleveland this year. Other than that, I ain't talking about Cleveland. You don't hear me talking about the Seattle Seahawks. Because do we have to play them this year? They're like one of those teams, right? Remember how Tom Brady and Peyton Manning always used to play each other, even though they weren't in the same division? It's like one of those situations with us and Dallas and Seattle. I don't know why we always had to play Dallas. I don't know why we always had to play Seattle. It's getting kind of old, though. But, okay. You don't hear me talking to you about the Arizona Cardinals. If the Arizona Cardinals did a thing today, they made a trade, they signed a player, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't know. You know, now if they made a trade, signed a player, and cut someone who, let's say, is on the defensive line, who comes off the edge, hey, I'm talking about it. So, Detroit versus everybody. I told the guys simply, I do not like Ohio. Goodbye. I don't like Ohio. Goodbye. Peace. All right. I'm from Michigan. We don't like Ohio. That's just where it goes. And I gave you some dignity by calling it Ohio instead of oh hell no, which is what I usually call it. All right, let me get to some of your chats, and then I will get to the Brian Branch situation. Taylor Made Media, what up, though? He says, I've been living under a rock because I damn sure don't know who Invincible is. Oh, you call him Invisible? What? I know who my man Lynn Barney is, though, Hall of Famer. So this, you're a little bit older, Taylor Made. You probably wouldn't have watched the show. He said, I'm shocked the Steelers traded Minka. I was pretty dumbfounded myself. Chicken Nugget King says, we can't get enough of the pass rush. Well, we're going to talk about it. What up, though, Tactical Sport? All right, let's go ahead and get into what one Monsieur Brian Branch had to say today. All right, he said, hold up, we got Independent Aquaman. Let's see what you got to say. He says, I think BB means generally invincible. He isn't being literal, or else he's saying that no one will score any points. So I think he was instead generalizing goal lines. I don't think he meant literally invincible either, but we got to talk about it. Invincible is my show. Shout out. So I'm going to tell you something crazy. My son was in the car with me and he was watching Invincible, right? I thought I saw the whole season. Okay. Apparently I didn't see the whole season. I was like, what kind of suit he got on? When did he wear it? When did he do that? So yeah, my son was showing me and I'm like, I don't remember this episode. I'm like, did a new season come out? He's like, nah. So you know how they release them? Sometimes they split them. I thought that the last episode was the last episode of the season and I moved on. So I do have to catch up and see the last, I think, 4 or 5 episodes of the season. But yeah, don't tell me nothing. Right next to the boys. Shout out. This is my guy. This is me and Tactical Sport. We rock. Okay. We ride together, we die together. Bad Boys for life. I don't know if any of y'all saw the last Bad Boys movie. I couldn't get through the first 10 minutes. I didn't get out of the wedding. I'm sorry. I turned it off. It wasn't doing it for me. All right, let's get to what Brian Branch had to say. Brian Branch, this is an article from Detroit Lions on SI The Doc. Mr. John Macaron, friend of the show. Y'all know who he is. All right. So he says, Brian Branch says Lions defense feels invincible. It feels invincible. The Detroit Lions defense has the opportunity to prove several doubters wrong this upcoming season. And you know, we have a lot of doubters. I could be called a doubter, but I'm not a doubter of the defense as a whole. I am not a doubter of this secondary. I am not a doubter of this linebacking core. I am not a doubter of most of the defensive line. There's just one position that I doubt. And it's with a guy who's a fantastic, phenomenal football player. But that fantastic, phenomenal football player just can't stay on the field long enough to make an impact for the team. And we'll get into that a little bit later. All right, so several pundits have expressed a certain level of skepticism regarding new defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard's ability to replicate the success Aaron Glenn had, especially with a young core of defensive players. As we've talked about before, Kelvin Shepard would sometimes run the defense. When you saw Aaron Glenn sitting back with his leg crossed, his ankle atop his knee, like this on the bench, Kelvin Shepard was running the defense at that time. Right? Kelvin Shepard was running the defense at that time. Kelvin Shepard was running meetings. Kelvin Shepard is familiar with everyone. Everyone knows Shep. Kelvin Shepherd was being groomed to replace Aaron Glenn. He knows how Aaron Glenn did it. He knows what Aaron Glenn did. And he also has his own ideas and things that he wants to change. Just because you're under someone as a coach doesn't mean that you like everything that they did 100% with their philosophy. So there are some things, some wrinkles and things as such that he is going to add himself. All right. So let's move on. Speaking prior to training camp, safety Brian Branch shared the young core going through the ups and downs. Playing in the National Football League has helped the roster grow and become even hungrier to achieve success. All right. Shout out Kai. Okay. Kai was a passenger of mine. If you're watching Kai, shout out. He is an Australian who asked me when he got in my car if I was a huge Lions fan because I had a snippet from my Jahmyr Gibbs episode. It wasn't playing, but it's just there. I use it as an alarm to remind me of something important every day, right? So it was there on my Android Auto screen. So we got into talking, right? Apparently he's an Eagles fan, but he's not an Eagles fan because they just won a Super Bowl. His brother apparently did like an exchange program in Philadelphia, so that's why he's won. And honestly, I don't begrudge any Australian person for being an Eagles fan because Jordan Mailata is from Australia and he played in the National Rugby League and now he's in the NFL. So if I was an Australian person and I was looking for a team to root for, the Philadelphia Eagles are one that you have a connection with. Okay. And also wherever, I think it's Torrey Taylor. I think that's his name, the punter from Chicago who wasn't supposed to be punting too much last season. I think he's Australian as well. So anywhere where you find an Australian born athlete that plays in NFL, I think you should be a fan of one of those teams. But anyway, so we were talking about Mark Andrews. He felt that Mark Andrews was going to have a bad season this year. I felt that it was going to fuel him because of the career that he has had. I don't think he's going to get the yips. I don't think he's going to be afraid to catch a football. None of that stuff is going to fuel his fire. So how does that pertain to what we're saying? Well, just as what he said. He said, speaking prior to training camp, safety Brian Branch shared the young core going through the ups and downs playing in the National Football League has helped the roster grow and become even hungrier to achieve success. Okay, so Mark Andrews dropped a football in the end zone in the playoffs. They lost the game. He's going to be hungry for success when he comes back this season. Lamar Jackson has already said they're coming back with vengeance on their mind. I assume he also meant Mark Andrews. The Ravens are a very scary football team. I don't like the fact that they're in the football league. I don't think they're fair, but we'll see what happens. You got to play the game, right? You got it on paper. You got to play the game, okay? My most feared opponent is the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm scared poopless of the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna hold you. All right. We have had our own difficulties. Obviously, we had those injuries last season. We've had people in and out. We've shifted some things. We drastically overhauled the entire secondary. Was it last year? So we got some things that we're working towards, and we are hungry to be successful. We saw Amik Robertson talk about the people that kind of doubt the Lions defense in the secondary and don't think that they can do it because the schedule's too hard. And he said, hey man, you wouldn't win it. You wouldn't win it any other way. Cause you got to look at an animal when he got his back to the wall and look how the animal, look how he acts. So, they got some hitters on the secondary, but on the schedule, but we hitters too. You know, shout out to Amik, man. I love Amik, man. You know, New Orleans born and bred. Love that guy. But anyway, heading into his third season, the former Alabama Crimson Tide defensive back expressed that dealing with challenges has made the team feel invincible. Okay. Now, here's one thing that I will tell you for those of y'all that have never seen this show, Invincible. Invincible can get his ass beat. Now, he got his ass beat by his dad real bad. Okay. But see, the thing with Invincible is even if he does get his ass beat, he gets up and he keeps on fighting. Okay. And eventually he will come out on top. So that is something to take from Invincible, the character. And as you can put it on to the Detroit Lions defense where, you know, they're not going to always come out there and just shut everybody down. They're going to give up some points. They're going to give up some yards and things of this nature. But how do you finish the game and how do you help your team win? That is how you should kind of apply both of these, the character, the fictitious character, and the Lions defense going into the season. All right. So he says we went through the ups and downs. We fought together on tough games. Or in tough games. We've been in a game where it depended on us to win, said Branch to the Detroit Press. So it just makes everybody buy in. Once you have a group that has bought in and has gone through trials and tribulations, we feel invincible, right? Can't nobody take our shine. Can't nobody hold us down. Oh no, we got to keep on moving. You already know what it is. Shout out. Use the hashtag if you know, you know. All right. So despite having a new leader running the defense, the team is still very confident Shepard can elevate the play of the defense this upcoming season. And we know what type of coach Shep is, and we know what kind of energy he has. We know, we've seen it. Okay. We only saw it from Aaron Glenn during Hard Knocks with Deuce Staley. But we know, Aaron Glenn is a fierce competitor because he played cornerback in the league and he was only, 5'8", 5'9". So he's got to be that fierce competitor, just like a DJ Reed must be. So he says, I feel like we're better than last year. He explained, we're hungry, and I feel that's going to separate us. Our chemistry is on a whole other level. Shout out, their chemistry is great, okay? They hang out together, you know what I'm saying? As I said, they ride together, they die together. Bad boys for life. Safeties coach Jim O'Neill believes the 23-year-old brings an element of versatility against tight ends and receivers. For us, where we're different with what Brian gives us is the ability to play man coverage on tight ends and receivers, which is really, really rare, said O'Neill. But we're gonna ask our guys all through OTAs, training camp, and in the preseason games to play man-to-man coverage and slot receivers, and we're gonna see how they do. So if you thought that by Aaron Glenn leaving we weren't gonna be man heavy, you were wrong. But that is what they had to say about the defense. So let me get to some of your comments about what is going on. Let's see here. Yeah, that last Bad Boys was pretty bad. Yeah, I couldn't do it. Lounging on the bench. Redemption. Okay, Press, what you got to say? Well, I think we saw why he said it. He said what he said. Stood on business. Omni-Man is that dude, though. He was supposed to lose to Omni-Man. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're supposed to lose to your dad, you know. I answered your question by reading the article. Now you know why he said what he said. So anyway, I do agree with him. I do believe that the chemistry aspect of it, especially on defense, communication is key. If you can't communicate with the other people on the defense, you have to go back to was it 2022 when they had to simplify everything because there wasn't that communication and there was no trust. There was no chemistry. Everyone was worried about doing other stuff, not worried about, hey, if I do my job, I know Derek Barnes has my back, or I know freaking the commish. I'm trying to pull from people who were here at that time. The commish has my back if I do my job, and Cam Sutton has my back if I do my job. You understand what I'm saying? So by the names that I'm saying, you understand why it was what it was. But once they, simplified things and everyone could worry about what they had to worry about, which was their own assignments, the team took off. And now we have the ability to worry about our own assignments because we know that if someone does their own job, Kirby Joseph is going to do his. Brian Branch is going to do his. Alex Anzalone is going to do his. Hopefully he continues to do his, right? Got to get that money. But Jack Campbell's going to do his. Aiden Hutchinson is going to do his. I don't know what Tyleek going to do. Hopefully he's going to do his. DJ Reed is going to do his, which brings us to Marcus Davenport. Okay? Which brings us to Marcus Davenport, and that is a perfect segue into something else that we can talk about that popped up today, because we know that the Pittsburgh Steelers have indeed executed a trade. Lions predicted to finally get the pass rush help they need, but not until next offseason. Okay. So they did execute a trade of someone who you thought probably wouldn't have been traded out of Pittsburgh. And that person was Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah Fitzpatrick was sent to the Dolphins, where he was originally drafted, okay, for Jalen Ramsey and tight end Jonnu Smith. So some things got to percolating and some other things came up. Before I get to that, I saw you guys had a few comments. What up, Del Dosa Dion? 2.0. I see you in the chat. Let's see. Taylor May says the secondary has got to be the strength of the D. Yes, it does seem to be that way, right? So we got Terrion Arnold, and apparently he had an interview that's supposed to get everybody hyped. We'll talk about that if we have some time at the end. So Terrion Arnold, you got Ennis Rakestraw, who's going to be there in some capacity. They like him on the outside, but we talked about Ennis before. Is he actually going to supplant anyone? I don't know. We'll have to see what happens in training camp. If he's not going to supplant anyone, I feel like they're going to have packages for him if they love him that much. Okay. And if he can prove to stay healthy throughout training camp, and he can prove to get better and better and improve, then I think that they will find a way to get him on the field at times. You got DJ Reed in there. He's your, crafty veteran who was your replacement for Carlton Davis. Obviously, I wish that Carlton Davis had never left, but it is what it is. So obviously you got Kirby and BB, who best tandem of safeties in the league. As far as ball hawking safeties, Kirby Joseph is number one until someone else proves otherwise. He's been on an Ed Reed type of tear as soon as he got in the league, and the guy was a wide receiver for 3 years in college. That's why he's a ball hawk, because he used to be a wide receiver. And Brian Branch, young, up and coming, he's right up there with Kyle Hamilton and things like that. So, but that team I was talking about, Malachi Starks is a rookie, and I generally reserve myself as far as rookies, but he was a top 15 pick? No. If the Ravens got him, he slid down. He was projected he was projected, but he's a first round pick. If he is what they say he is, if he is what they expect him to be, then him and Kyle Hamilton obviously is going to be pretty unfair, just like Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch is unfair to the rest of the league. So, yeah, but I think that the secondary right now is the strength of the defense. If Marcus Davenport could stay healthy, then the defensive line would be the strength because you got Marcus Davenport and Aiden Hutchinson. So, Cam Burnt Toast Sutton, exactly. Sutton Toast. What up, though, Dr. Detroit? Let's see. The NFL is a passing league, damn near 7-on-7. Sometimes the Lions not getting to the passer made it look like it was 7-on-7. But the reason that we're talking about this, and I didn't come on here today thinking I was going to talk about the pass rush, but whether Brad Holmes likes it or not, whether Dan Campbell likes it or not, until Marcus Davenport can prove to be a healthy person. Well, I can't say healthy person, a healthy player, because I'm sure he's a healthy person. Okay. Until he can prove that he can remain healthy for the vast majority of a season. Marcus Davenport's most healthy season came when he played 15 games. Until he can return to something like that, where he can help out your team for the vast majority of the season, and that you hope that missing games is just a smattering, right? So it's like, okay, he played the first 7 weeks of the season and he missed week 8. And then he played the rest of the season and he misses the last game of the season, which hopefully in our case doesn't matter. And then he's ready for the playoffs. You understand what I'm saying? It can't be, oh, I played 10 games, the first 10 games of the season, and I can't suit up again for the rest of the season. That's not going to impress us. We would not be upset if that first scenario happened. Oh, you play the first 7 weeks, then week 8, you have to sit out because, you were injured. It's just some little, knick-knack, paddywhack type of deal. Not anything major, right? Missed a game. And then he comes back and he plays and he misses the last game of the season. And that's not an important game anyway, because we already got the playoffs locked up. We already won the division and the playoffs are locked up, right? If that is the scenario, and then he comes back and plays in the playoffs and he plays well and effectively and he helps his team to get to the Super Bowl, okay? Because at this point, if you get to the Super Bowl, I want you to win it. But if you get to the Super Bowl and you don't win it, shout out Doc, who believes that that's the next evolution, or that's the next step in the evolution of the Detroit Lions. You have to get to the Super Bowl and lose. I don't want to put that out there. Okay. Look, you get to the Super Bowl, I'm expecting a victory. Even if you're playing the damn Baltimore Ravens, which is going to suck. But depending on how we did against them earlier on in the season, maybe you have more confidence. So until he can show you that, until he can author that scenario, Dan and Brad, Derek, Avery, many others, and John, the Doc, and Dave Burkett, and all these other people who are talking about the pass rush will continue to talk about the pass rush. Okay? My hope is if you don't re-sign Zadarius Smith, because we're about to talk about the TJ Watt situation, which I don't think is realistic, but we'll talk about it. If you don't re-sign Zadarius Smith, all you can do is hope that Marcus Davenport stays healthy. Because if it's another Emmanuel Mosley situation and Zadarius Smith messes around and signs with somebody else, That's what the face is gonna look like the entire season. You know, if I gotta watch Josh Pascal trot out there with his 5 sacks in his career, if I gotta watch Levi Onwuzurike with his 3.5 sacks last year, 3.5, not 3.5. If I gotta watch that the entire season because we had an Emmanuel Mosley situation with Marcus Davenport, I'm not gonna be fun. I'm not gonna be fun at all. I don't want to be right. I want to be wrong. I want Marcus Davenport to prove me wrong. I want to be wrong. Because if I am wrong, that means that my team has succeeded with Marcus Davenport. If I'm wrong, that means my team has done something great by having faith in Marcus Davenport's health, which I have none of. But again, that's why we're about to talk about one Mr. TJ Watt. This, again, is from the doc, John Macaron. I just mentioned him. And isn't it just appropriate that we've got another article from him? So he says, star pass rusher back on table for Detroit Lions. The trade made by the Pittsburgh Steelers has opened up trade rumors regarding star pass rusher TJ Watt. Again, these are rumors. Trade rumors. Nothing is set in stone. I am not telling anyone that TJ Watt is coming to Detroit. I am not telling you that you can expect this to happen. I'm not telling you it is a done deal. All we do know is that TJ Watt would prefer to play for Dan Campbell if he cannot play in Pittsburgh, which is very intriguing. So let's move on and see what the rest of this is about. On Monday, the AFC North squad traded for cornerback Jalen Ramsey and tight end Jonnu Smith. Ramsey is reportedly earning a $1.5 million raise, which means the Steelers are paying the talented defensive back $26.6 million this season. Smith is set to receive a 1-year contract extension worth $12 million. With new deals being handed out, many are wondering how much will remain to bring back Watt, who is unhappy that he has yet to earn a new contract. ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter reported interest from NFL teams having internal discussions about trading for Watt should increase in the coming days. According to CBS Sports, who listed the Detroit Lions among potential suitors, Aiden Hutchinson might be one of the best young pass rushers in the NFL, but Detroit has been sniffing around upgrades opposite Hutchinson for a while, taking a flyer on Zadarius Smith last year and reportedly attempting a draft day trade for edge rushing help. Better yet, and we're going to talk about that because I got some information about that. They're flush with 2025 salary cap space, possessing north of $40 million. That could help accommodate Watt's immediate financial desires and further confirm them as one of the most talented rosters in all of football. The Steelers have not given any indication they are listening to offers from other teams and have remained steadfast in their belief a new agreement can be reached with the former 2017 first-round draft pick. Now, the draft day trade that we were supposed to be trying to make was supposedly for Shamar Stewart. Now, the Shamar Stewart thing, because I've gotten some more information on this, is so ridiculous. I can't say the other R word because I'll get canceled. It is so ridiculous. It makes no sense on this planet Earth. If y'all don't know, the Cincinnati Bengals are they have language in their contract for Shamar Stewart, which he has not signed, and I hope he doesn't sign, and he goes back into the draft next year, and hopefully we can get him then. They have language in his contract. It's a morality clause. A guy that's never gotten in trouble, they can void his contract if he were to get in trouble. That is what they are doing. This is not Mike Green. If it was Mike Green and you wanted to put that clause in his contract, be my guest and don't budge. Shamar Stewart has no character concerns. He has been in no trouble with the law. He has not been in any trouble. But you were trying to force upon this man a morality clause in the event that he does get in trouble. This is the Bengals being the Bengals. And this is why Shamar Stewart said he believes that they're just trying to win an argument. What is your argument? What's your argument? That a person that has never gotten in trouble and has not demonstrated having character concerns, this is the guy who you drafted in the first round. You're having problems with Trey Hendrickson because you don't want to give him any money. Now you've got your first round rookie edge rusher who you ideally would like to pair with Trey Hendrickson. You're alienating him by saying you have to sign this contract that has a morality clause in it, which came out of nowhere because they have never. Listen to me. The Cincinnati Bengals, who have had Chad Ochocinco, who have had Chris Henry, and other colorful characters, have never given a contract that has had a morality clause, yet they want to give one to Shamar Stewart and wonder why he won't sign it. That's crazy. So, yeah, back to the TJ Watt thing. Again, we do have $40 million in cap space, or north of $40 million in cap space. However, we not even trying to sign Zadarius Smith for much less than what TJ Watt would command. So I don't see it happening. It would be great if it did happen. I know the pockets just need to be fat up top where Sheila Hamp is, and it could happen. But don't hold your breath. That's my take on that. What up, though, Hassani Mahdi? Welcome, 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 welcome. It is good to see you, my friend. What does this say? The NFL only became a passing league after the CFL added teams in the USA. All right. Okay, if Marcus Davenport is starting, then why does everybody keep talking about Zadarius Smith? Because if Marcus Davenport is starting, the insurance policy that you want is for him to rotate with Zadarius Smith, because if he rotates with Zadarius Smith, the prevailing thought is that you can keep him you can keep him not happy, but you can keep him healthy. Okay, and if you keep him healthy, then you can win a lot more games. And Zadarius Smith is a drop off in the run game, but I think that they can both proficiently get to the pass rusher, or the passer, not the pass rusher. If Davenport plays more than 3 games, I'll be impressed. Well, no, I won't be. You got to play 15, upwards of 15 to impress me. I think the Zadarius Smith ship has sailed. I know he wants to be back in Detroit. I don't know if Brad is trying to bring him back. I would hope that it hasn't sailed. Also, the NFL is going away from being pass happy to being balanced. Time management on offense is the most important because that keeps the D fresh to try to steal the ball. The Bengals are virtue signaling. Yes, and they're going to signal themselves right out of a player, because if he does not sign, he will re-enter the draft next season. And I'm pretty sure that the Bengals wouldn't dare try to draft him again. That would be crazy, right? He re-enters the draft next season, and the Bengals are like, well, we're drafting you again, buddy. So you're going to sign this contract. These are uniform player contracts. Now you can write in whatever you want. It's between the club and the player to agree or not. If Stewart ain't about that life, it's got to be something else. It's the Bengals being the Bengals. As I said, and I've got a source for this. Okay, they've never ever given this kind of contract, and they want to give it now. So Shamar Stewart has never gotten in any trouble, and you can't do that. It's silly. This isn't the guy. If you drafted Mike Green, go right ahead. But the funny thing is the Ravens didn't even put nothing in his contract. A guy who has multiple accusations about it's Deshaun type of accusations, but it's a little bit more involved than just a massage. I don't think a massage was part of the allegations, but you do remember that some of the allegations with Deshaun were about forcing himself on some of these masseuses. So Mike Green's allegations are about the forcing of himself on multiple women. And the Ravens didn't even put a morality clause in his contract. So especially they're both in the AFC North, I'd be pretty pissed off about this too and would refuse to sign it. Yeah, so again, like I said, it's silly, it's ridiculous. Like I said, the pass rush, man, is something we're going to continue to talk about. It just keeps popping up. But we will go ahead and get to this Terrion Arnold interview that is supposed to get everybody hype. Drop down and find this. Drop down, get your on, girl. Drop down. If anybody cares, Sheila Fordham and Jared Goff are supposedly bringing the WNBA back to Detroit in 2029. I said, if anybody cares. Can't impress you there. Listen. I'm not gonna say nothing about the WNBA. I'm just not gonna do it. To each their own. I don't even watch the regular NBA too much, to be quite honest with you. So I'm not the person, like, if you want to have the argument about the WNBA and the NBA, I'm really not the person to have that argument with, because I don't even watch the regular NBA too much anymore. I didn't watch any of the finals at all. Once I saw it was Indiana and OKC, I was like, nah, not watching. Don't care about this. All right. So this one is from Sideline Report from Candace Pedraza. She says Terrion Arnold will get all Lions fans pumped for the season with latest interview. So Detroit Lions rookie Terrion Arnold is set to become an unbelievably important piece to the team's defense this season. The second-year cornerback finished up his rookie season dealing with heartbreak. The Lions, of course, were eliminated by the Washington Commanders after finally succumbing to several injuries on defense. On defense, this season, the secondary is looking far more fierce than it finished out as. Arnold, DJ Reed, Brian Branch, and Kirby Joseph are formidable on paper and are set to be back healthy as a force defensively in the NFC North. Arnold, while young, is considered a significant part of that blueprint. I don't know how it looks significantly more fierce when, if you would have just put Carlton Davis in there instead of DJ Reed, I think it would have looked equally as fierce. Again, I did say earlier, Jim O'Neill, secondary coach, said that the Detroit Lions will continue to play man And they will do it all throughout training camp, OTAs, this, that, and the third thing. Because when you are training a cornerback, when you want to see what a cornerback can do, you put him in man coverage. As I've said before, as a former corner, I can tell you the value of a cornerback is his man coverage skills. It is not his zone coverage skills. The only reason that that is important is if you play a zone cover scheme heavy, right? You're not going to go out and pay $20+ million per year for a zone only cornerback unless in your system you will only be playing zone. You do not care anything about man. Okay, that is the only way that you'll go out and pay that type of money for zone only corners. The true value of a cornerback, mano a mano, any cornerback worth his salt is going to try to lock you down in one-on-one coverage, man on man, mano a mano. Okay. Let's see. So in a new write-up from ESPN, Lions beat reporter Eric Woodyard, it's seen that Arnold has all of the confidence in the world to become one of the best young cornerbacks in the NFL and maybe even one of the best cornerbacks in the league, period. It was nothing but experience. Like I always said, a lot of teams sit back there and play zone, but I had to go out there and challenge wide receiver once, and I'm young. So I know I'll be the best corner in the league pretty soon. I'm very confident, said Arnold to reporters in January per Woodyard. This was all the way back in January. Boy, it's July. Well, it's July for me. Pinching the punch for the first of the month. No get backs. It's not July for y'all yet. It's almost. Y'all almost there. I think what? Got another few hours and then it'll be July. Hearing that should get any Lions fan excited to see him locking up all of his assignments throughout the season. Again, I tell you that Terrion Arnold didn't have the terrible season that you thought he had. I tell you that, and I tell you that, and I tell you that. You just have to, those of you that don't believe me, we'll see this year. That's the point. Arnold has sky-high confidence headed into 2025 season. Arnold finished up the 2024 rookie campaign, or his 2024 rookie campaign, with 47 solo tackles, 10 passes defended, and 662 total coverage snaps. While he obviously has room for improvement, he finished up with a 51.5 PFF grade and 56 receptions allowed. You like to see a young defender like Arnold with as much cockiness that he has headed into a critical year for Detroit's contention window. It was never a talent thing as far as linking up and somebody was better than me, or lining up and somebody was better than me. It was just things from my inexperience and not seeing. But the only way to get better and gain experience is by being out there, said Arnold, according to Woodyard in his piece. The Lions showed major confidence in Arnold from day one, trading up for him in 2024 to snag him in the first round. He has a great support system around him in Reed, Branch, and Joseph. Okay, I looked at Reed and I was like, Ed Reed? That's not Kirby, right? But it was DJ Reed. And that's going to open the door for him to improve over time and without pressure to become the next Deion Sanders overnight. Now, see, this is where we get crazy when writers start invoking the name of Sanders. If you invoke the name of any Sanders, it better be Barry Jr. or Shador. Stop talking about these people and Sanders, right? Because Deion and Barry, no, sir. Not as a second-year player. Okay? You may be special. They may think that Travis Hunter is the next Deion Sanders. But is he as good as Deion was? I guess the jury's still out. but I don't want to put that pressure on a rookie's head. What up, though? Speakeasy Sports. I'm late. I got to you 5 minutes late, but it's all good. Let's see what Tony Gooseborg says. Davenport playing in 3 games would impress me because I'm predicting that he plays in 2 games. Fair. Fair. Jared Goff put money into the WNBA. Wow. Yeah. Apparently there's a team. I don't know what it's going to be called. Someone on Woodward Sports will probably have to tell me what it's going to be called because I am not going to click on an article and read it. I just saw the headline that says him and Sheila Ford Hamp are bringing the league back to Detroit in 2029. Maybe it's just the draft. I don't know. Maybe they're going to have the WNBA draft in Detroit. Who knows? I don't, but let's see. Independent Aquaman says zone coverage is only good if it's a safety. Yeah, a corner should be in man coverage, mano a mano, locking folks down, taking their soul and their manhood. Arnold is great at being a CB only if he is allowed handsiness near scrimmage lines because his speed isn't fast enough to keep pace with receivers. So you're allowed to be handsy at the line of scrimmage, and that's where you disrupt. That's where you finish a play. If you're a good enough corner, okay, and I'm not trying to toot my horn here. I'm not trying to call myself a Lions whisperer. I'm not going to tell you that the Detroit Lions changed the way that they did their press conferences because of me. I'm not going to tell you I had sources within the building that told me that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and all the players were watching my podcast, and I just needed to continue to be confident or positive. I'm not going to tell you any of those things because they're lies. And I don't lie, okay? So I'm not going to tell you those things because they are lies. They are blatant lies from someone who's trying to prop himself up as something more than he is. You will know. You will know in due time. Don't worry. I keep making these references. In due time, you will know. The expose is coming. It's got to. It's got to because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's got to come. But I was what you would consider in high school a shutdown corner. I was very fast, but a lot of the routes were dead at the line. Because if you can't get off of a press from a corner, you might as well not run your route. Okay? So if Terrion Arnold can get to that point where he's able to press a man at the line of scrimmage, is why they call it press man. If he's able to press a man at the line of scrimmage and not allow him to get into his route, that is going to effectively shut down one side of the field. Because if I'm out here man on man against this X wide receiver or this Z wide receiver or whatever have you, okay, and I shut him down, that's it. The ball's not coming his direction because he can't even get off the line, right? So it's a good thing for Terrion to be able to do that. And, you know, angles, closing speed, coverage was sticky. Regardless of what his speed says, whether he ran a 4.6 40 or 4.55, whatever the case may be, coverage was sticky. Okay? He was not Jeffrey Namumbo. Oh, hell no, Kuda. He was not getting burnt. He wasn't burnt toast. It wasn't barbecue chicken alert when you looked out there and you saw Terrion Arnold locked up on Justin Jefferson. It wasn't barbecue chicken alert. Okay, when you looked out and you saw him locked up on Christian Watson, you looked out and you saw him locked up on, I don't think Keon Coleman played against us, okay, for the Bills. When you looked out there and you saw him locked up against the number one wide receiver, you didn't say barbecue chicken alert. Just run a fade. Just run a post. Just run a corner. Just run something deep. Just run a go. Run a 9 because he can't keep up with you. Coverage was sticky all year, right? Coverage sticky all year. So Detroit fan man, what up though? He says, can we just bench Davenport until maybe week 15 or 16? Just a little warm up before the playoffs. You get Zadarius Smith and it's a deal. Okay. You bring back Big Z and it is a deal. Okay. They confuse potential with results. If we're talking about Terrion Arnold, he did get better throughout the season. Haven't seen Travis Hunter play either side of the ball. Yes, you haven't seen him play in the NFL. Right. So that's what I'm saying. They think he could be the next Dion, but you do have to see him play. And it doesn't matter where you were picked. Even if you were the number 1 overall pick, they got to see you play. Right? There are people that were picked number 1 overall, Jamarcus Russell, who, when they saw you play, they were like, nah, you can't do this here at this level. Thank you for playing, though. The participation trophy is at the door. You can collect it on the way out. So, my brave AI just answered, yes, Jared Goff has invested in the WNBA as a minority owner of the new Detroit WNBA team set to begin play in 2029. The team is part of the WNBA's yada, yada, yada. Okay. 2029, gonna be very interesting. Because remember, I asked you this question before. I said, if Jared Goff doesn't win a Super Bowl by 2027, and then he's got an option for 2028 to opt into, do the Detroit Lions offer him another contract extension? It would be crazy if that were to take place, because I'm going to crash out. Because we were at the NFC Championship game, knocking at the doorstep of the playoffs, and we collapsed. But it would be crazy if my man is no longer in the city in 2029 when he is a minority owner. Now, it's not to say that, you can't still contribute in the city. I think Matthew Stafford may have pulled out his charitable donations and things of this nature, because it's brutal for him when he comes back to Detroit. I don't know if he's still doing anything here. I think he's got some things that he built in Detroit. Was there a school that they built? So obviously, the school is going to remain. So not to say that if you're no longer in the city, you can't contribute to the city and you can't keep helping the youth of the city. And Jared Goff does all that, so shout out to Jared Goff. Like I said, he's still going to be a stand-up guy in the community. If he leaves, if he stays, I don't think he will get any of the vitriol and the venom that Matthew Stafford got because of the way that he left. I think for Jared Goff, he's not going to leave unless they don't want him to come back. I just think that's the way it is. Obviously, he loves playing for Dan Campbell. He loves being around Brad Holmes. He loves his teammates. So it's just a hypothetical question that I posed before. Expansion plan and Goff is part of the new ownership group led by the Detroit Pistons owner Tom Gores, along with other notable figures such as former NBA players Grant Hill and Chris Webber. This is a lot. Detroit Lions owner Sheila Hamp, rapper Eminem, and General Motors CEO Mary Barra. That's a lot of people, bro. Is each one of them putting in $5? What you got on my Big Mac? That is me shooting at the WNBA, telling you that you probably only need $35.75 to purchase a WNBA team. I'm being facetious. I don't think that you really need that, but it is what it is. All right. Handsiness isn't disallowed by the NFL within certain parameters. Problem is when it goes beyond those parameters. But you have to look at, because I'm gathering that you're not a Tyrion fan, but you have to look at what was his handsiness in the last half of the season. So in the first half of the season, this is when he got in the first, I think it was the first 4 weeks of the season where he got the majority of his pass interference penalties. And I think in the second half of the season, he only got 1. Right? I think he had 8 in total. So, you know, the improvement's there. You just got to want to see it. Let's see. What up, though, Mr. Morale 313? He said, "Where is this Justin Spiro hotline?" I don't know. Somebody needs to find it. So he's on Twitter, right? I don't want to be like tweeting him like, "Hey, I got a story for you." So if y'all want to tweet him for me and be like, "Yeah, he's got a story to tell," you might want to hit him up. Potential with results. I was not talking about Arnold. I was responding to you talking about other teams' famous players. Oh, okay. All right, no problem. Jared Goss asks, is in Detroit for the long haul now? Independent Aquaman, this may surprise you. I don't disagree with you. Regarding their on-field performances, not including their teammates, Goff has always been better than Stafford, both with the Rams and with the Lions. Off-field, always better too. I don't disagree with you. I am not a fan of Matthew Stafford. So, Detroit Fan Man says, weird that it cost $250 million to start a WNBA team when we already had one. What were they called? When did they move or become defunct? Or I do not know. Okay. Here's the extent of my knowledge of the WNBA. Spark, Liberty, Fever. Only reason I know the Fever is because Caitlin Clark plays for them. I don't know the name of the team or the city in which Angel Reese plays for. Okay. Are you picking it up? You picking up what I'm putting down? Okay. I know Sabrina Ionescu. I think she plays in Seattle. I don't know if, or maybe she plays. Does she play for the Liberty? New York Liberty? When I tell you I don't watch it, I don't watch it. This league has been around for, I think, 30 years. I don't know how many teams they have. I don't know what the teams are. Like I told you, I only know 3-4 teams. I could not tell you the names of more than 5 players. Sabrina Ionescu, Angel Reese. What's her name? Caitlin Clark. That's 3, right? Diana Taurasi is retired, right? There was that Plum chick that Darren Waller was cheating on. Is it Kelsey Plum? Katie Plum? I don't know. One of them. That's it. I got 4. And one is it's 3.5 because I don't know if it's Kelsey or Katie or Karen. I don't know. Okay. I'm trying to tell you. The WNBA sucks as long as they do not switch to playing at least similar to Caitlin Clark. I don't care about skin colors or sexuality. I do care about sex. Don't have men playing with women. Yeah, that shouldn't happen. I'm not gonna read that part. The Detroit Shockers won a title with Swin Cash. I didn't even know they won a title, bro. So if they won a title, why'd they leave? That's my question. If they won a title, why did they leave the city? I don't know why. There you go. Okay, Swing Cash. Does she still play? I mean, I've heard the name, right? It's you know what? But I will say it sucks that Cheryl Miller never played in the WNBA, because the stories that I hear about Cheryl Miller, how she had a game in high school where she scored 106 points or something, like it's pretty crazy. I think what she probably would have done in the WNBA. Bill Laimbeer was the coach. I remember him being the coach or something. So was it well, I can understand why they left, because they didn't have any support. That's, I feel like, the entire league, but it is what it is. The Shock won 3 titles. Wow. They won 3 titles. And in Detroit, no one supported them. They won 3 titles. But I mean, you don't want to be, look, so it's a touchy situation, right? You don't want to be sitting up here like, yo, the Pistons are trash, but Detroit Shock, baby. And I don't know when they were here and when they left. But if it was between 2005 and now, I don't think that they were going to get the support. They won their 3 championships. No one was going to care, because, as I said, between 2005 and last year, or I should say between 2005 and the beginning of this season, there was nothing to really cheer about in Detroit as far as basketball. So, are they the Tulsa Shock, or are they like completely rebranded Tulsa Titty Twisters? I'm gonna cancel. I'm gonna get canceled. Yeah. Let's see. Hold on, what we got. Moved to Tulsa in 2009. Poor attendance sold them again to Dallas. Damn, they just can't get no attendance. Lord have mercy. They just moving all over the country. Are they coming back to Detroit? Is that the same team? You know? Triple T's, baby. Oh man. Now the Dallas Wings. So they believe that they shocked the world, and now they believe they can fly. That's crazy. That's crazy. So when did they win their championships? Because if they moved in 2009, I mean, they had to. I don't know where did they coincide with the Go to Work Pistons? Did they? And then especially, and that's even worse, if they were there while the Pistons were going to work, wasn't nobody talking about them. I can understand it completely. This is not a situation where you are meant to flourish. Okay, so they were the 03 champs right before the Going to Work Pistons won theirs in 04. So we're not. Okay, we know the Going to Work Pistons, they were going to work for almost a decade. So, you know, yeah, you wouldn't get no attendance. Mm-mm. Nope. Um, Wings just traded away under producer Nalisa Smith, who kept sabotaging Clark's Fever when she was with the Fever last year. She was like sabotaging her own team. What kind of league is this? And then they wonder why no one wants to watch. Why would you be sabotaging your own team? And now it can be said, watch, are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Because I'm going to do it, and you're going to be marveling at how I do this. It could be said that one, Jeffrey Namumbo Ohelno Kuda was sabotaging the Detroit Lions with his burnt toast proficiencies. Okay. But it's not normal. It's not a normal occurrence for people to do this. I think the Wings will now lose a lot of games to get a high draft pick next season. If so, they'll have 3 high draft picks combined in 2026 and 2027, and I won't know any of them. Listen, what are the colors of the Dallas Wings? I don't even know anything. I just found out there was a team called the Dallas Wings, and apparently they're going to be tanking. The more you know, right? I had no idea about any of this. Drama, for sure. Yes, Smith kept sabotaging the Fever because her lover played. What the frick is this? Because her lover played with the Connecticut Sun? What? What is this? What is this? This is ridiculous. They have a professional sports league where people are sabotaging the teams that they play with because they're dating people on the other team. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that this league doesn't have more support. It is a soap opera. It should be on daytime television as the WNBA turns. General triage in the WNBA. Like, what the? No, the burnt toast name is reserved for Cam Sutton. Every time you turned around, he was laying on the ground. Okay, barbecue chicken. And his barbecue chicken tendencies. Jeffrey Namumbo Ohelno Kuda and his tendency to become barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken is his alter ego. Who are you dressed as for Halloween, Jeffrey? I am barbecue chicken man. Don't worry, I tried watching WNBA over a decade ago, but it was so boring I quit quickly. LOL, but I tried again last year because Clark's play style, still bad WNBA players, but worse is the reffing. Listen, there's comments I can make that I'm not going to make because I'm just not going to make those. But I'm just saying, if you get me, you get me. If you know, you know. There's some other things to watch, I guess. You're not exaggerating. That's freaking crazy. That is crazy. General triage, yes. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Listen, if anybody is into fantasy football, okay, if anybody is into fantasy football, stay tuned. Keep it locked. Subscribe to my channel because I am developing a platform. Oh, and it's gonna be crazy. I'm telling you right now. I've sent a prototype to Easy and Spinmo Racks, and someone else I know to try to get some feedback. It's gonna be some stuff that you've never seen before. So make sure you stay tuned. Um, I'm gonna start advertising it. Hopefully in training camp. Um, I'm probably gonna have a free model and just have ads or something like this. But yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. So make sure you keep it locked, keep it tapped in, and I will be giving you updates about how it's going. I will probably show you some of the features and things of that nature once I get some more things ironed out. But yes, please keep it locked. I almost forgot to tell you about it. It is a big project, and I do hope to have it ready by the preseason for sure. I don't know if people do fantasy football in the preseason. I don't know why you would, but hey, it's going to be available. It's going to be out there, hopefully in time for the season, so everyone can tap in and start using the platform. But it's called Apex Game Day. So I am taking it to the Apex, and yeah, it's gonna be fire. So appreciate you guys. Said I haven't played fantasy football since 2018, but I might start again going through Yahoo. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to deploy it, but I'll work all of that out. But right now I'm just working on the prototype, working on some of the features, making sure those things work. Sometimes when you deploy, I just created an app. I got finished with it a few days ago, and then deploying it, some stuff broke in deployment, so had to fix those again. So just trying to make sure that everything is ready to go, and then I will put it somewhere. But whatever is the best place where the most people are going to see it. I'm thinking of just keeping it as a web app, so therefore you can not only use it on your phone, but you can use it on your tablets and your computers and things of this nature, because the interface is crazy. It's crazy. I got so much stuff on there. I got in-game highlights that I'm going to try to pull in automatically, populate the app. It's crazy. You got win probabilities. You got AI. What is it? Lineup suggestions. You've got an AI recap where it generates the recap of the game, that happened between the people in the league, right? Who won what? Who was the top performer? And that it's not only text that it generates voice. We got a trash talking chat on there. It's a whole bunch of stuff, man, that I think is going to knock your socks off. So anybody that is interested in fantasy football, Apex Game Day will be the place to go. You cannot find it yet. It is not out, but I'm just telling you, this is what it is called. So yes, this will be what it is. So make sure you keep it locked, and I will be giving you guys updates about it throughout the process, and when it is ready to go, you guys will be the first to know and the first to have the opportunity to try it out. So that is what that is. Please invite David from Motor City Mania to join your fantasy football league. I'll invite everybody, even the mayor. He may be too busy. It's all good. But we will be pushing it out there pretty heavy. All right, guys, I appreciate you once again. That is going to be it for me today. I've got to go ahead and get into my day a little bit more. So the Motor City Cats are back at it. We came to give you stats and not static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And we are out. Peace.